and kind of expectations for this season. And his wife is a Jags fan. He's a Eagles fan. And so we were kind of having the conversation of, the differences of fan bases and kind of where your thoughts are. We went down a whole rabbit hole of Doug Peterson and Press Taylor and all of that too, because obviously Philly has a whole different experience.
Oh yeah, he's a Super Bowl winning coach. Yeah. They love him. Are you kidding me?
So it is funny when you kind of have those conversations, and it's like that with different coaches, different players. Some people idolize and love, and some were like, it didn't work out for our team, it's a little bit different for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you said that about the spontaneous, because I know there's a lot of single people out there, and they rely on those apps. I have a brother that does that. Yeah. And I'm like, man, just go out and go sit at the bar. Yeah. The very minimum, you strike up a conversation with a bartender, or maybe someone next to you. Maybe they're
make a friend.
Yeah, you just make a friend.
Laughs.
Like, go out there. You never know what's going to be out there waiting for you. So that's a great lesson. But yeah, it is interesting. I mean, look, and I do blame Doug and his staff, but only to a certain degree. I also blame Trent Baalke for not feeding him with the right kind of guys at the time of their career, right? So Doug's more of he's not like Liam as far as, hey, man, I'm holding you accountable to this. This is how it's going to be. I'm cool as long as you keep it in, right? Yeah. Doug was more of a, hey, man, you're a pro. Yeah. Act like a pro.
You've done this before.
I expect you to do it. Yeah. I'm not going to be on your throat, like over your shoulder. But you got to have the right kind of guys. Now, that doesn't mean they didn't have the right kind of guys, but the right kind of guys at that time.
For that coach, too.
And in their career. Yeah. Like Brenton Strange. Yeah,
you had Strange. You had Parker.
Correct.
You had
but now they're
guys.
2 years older, 3 years. You know what I mean? They're like a little bit more mature. Yeah. And they adhere. I don't mean adhere. They thrive under Liam's kind of direction. So they were waiting for that or hoping for that, but Doug wasn't going to do that. Yeah. And then if you don't have the coach doing it, you got to have veterans in the locker room that make sure the young guys do it. And they didn't have enough of those guys. Yeah. They had a couple, but they didn't have enough. So whatever, it didn't work out. But for Philly, he won them a Super Bowl. Are you kidding me?
With Carson Wentz getting hurt, your starting quarterback goes down, and the backup and Nick Foles comes in and ends up being the one to help you kind of get through all of that. And so that was part of the conversation, which Tommy, you and I have had many times on this show of why did it take so long for a coach to finally tell Trevor, we need to correct these things. This isn't working. This isn't the most efficient way for you to throw the football. We can make this better. And we were having that conversation about Doug. And I was like, that's the interesting thing is he had two quarterbacks and he made Carson Wentz was having the career, was in the MVB runnings at that point when he got hurt. Then Nick Foles comes in. And since then, Nick Foles hasn't been able to do anything close to that. So sometimes I do think it is a combination of like the coaches are right, the players are right for each other, the timing's right. You kind of hit that stride at the right time. I mean, even that game when it comes to it was that Cody Parkey double joinked, and that's how they ended up winning that game. So you don't Cody Parkey makes the field goal, and you're not even on to the next round of the playoffs. That's how that when you talk about winning games in this league, especially in the postseason, one little thing can change a lot.
Yeah, and those kind of things keep a coach up all night, all season long, right? They're worried about those kind of things, games beyond your control. You just can't control those kind of things. But, listen, I mean, and I was just talking to an old friend of mine, Jack Mueller. He's a old-time agent and worked for the Pats for a long time. We're talking on the way in about something. He's like, so how the Jags going to be? I said, I think the biggest thing is now everybody knows they're there. Yep. They're probably going to look at them a little harder, probably going to study them a little longer, try to figure out, can they figure them out? And then we just got to make sure that we can't be game planned against. Like, we can beat your game plan. Well, might not happen in the first quarter, but we're going to figure it out, and we'll find a way by the end of the game to beat that game plan. And people may be like, it's not that big of a deal. Well, it may not be in the just looking at it from a big picture thing. And you may be right there. But when you bring it down really intricately, it does. You don't know how they're going to defend you now. Like just your offense or how they're going to attack your defense. They may find a weakness that we're not seeing. Yeah. You know what I mean? And let's be honest.
That's what they're spending their time doing right
now. Listen, a lot of listeners and me, a lot of people, we're biased towards our guys. Like Foye Oluokun. We love Foye, right? We think he's one of the best in the National Football League, and he is. But when you look at last year's players and his position, he's one of the best. Yeah. We give him a little more love because he's ours.
There's a lot of really good ones.
But there are a lot of really good ones.
And we'll get into that more today because I do think I saw somebody post, and it was a breakdown of the Jaguars offense last year. And he was going a bunch of different games, clips from different games, and what Trevor was doing. And it was kind of comparing early Trevor and this offense compared to late Trevor and this offense, which we know was scoring points like crazy. Trevor looked the best that he has in his career. And the guy's whole point was now you have Travis Hunter healthy to mix into it. You obviously added Borkature and Koziel, who are adding a whole nother level to this offense when it comes to that. And the run game, I think, is one of the bigger question marks because we just don't quite know what that will look like at this point in time. But pretty much the guy was going on about this offense is going to be unstoppable if they do it right because there's so many places to go and ways to move these guys around. And when you talk about the tight end room alone, there's a million different things that you can do with just them. And so the comments, it was interesting because immediately that's one of the first things I do is let me go see what people are saying, how many are on board and agreeing and how many are disagreeing and what's the comments, because I do like to see the different views and points. It makes you kind of think of things sometimes you wouldn't have otherwise. And the mixture was there. The mixture was a lot of people saying, yeah, this offense is going to be unstoppable, especially with Liam Cohen. We already saw it in, year one last year. Now this is year two, and Trevor doesn't have to think so much. And then there's other comments like, you guys are acting like this is, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson right now and da-da-da. So there's other people saying, hey, there's other rooms and wide receiver, running back, tight end rooms that can compete just as much, that have a little bit more experience and their defenses are a little deeper and things like that. And that's when those conversations come in. We watch these guys and talk about these guys so much that, of course, like we and especially what we saw at OTAs in certain moments with the Koziel, for example, to us, it's like, man, he looks like he's fitting right in. Now you got to see it in game time, but.
Yeah, no, and we do get those up close and personal things. I just think when you look at it as a whole, whether we're talking about linebackers, tight ends, a quarterback. I mean, you look at Trevor. Look, year 5, what'd they do? They fixed his footwork, and then they fixed his pre-snap. I mean, they just fixed it like that. And what are other teams doing? What are they doing out in the Charger land with Herbert? They're fixing his footwork. What are they doing with C.J. Stroud? The pre-snap, because they know how important that is. So I would expect, look, you can't deny that this team was scoring 30-plus points for many weeks towards the end of the year. You can't deny they went into Denver and kicked the crap out of the number one defense in the league. I mean, granted, they hit our quarterback plenty, but that didn't stop us at all. We went, 36-18, something like that. We put up plenty of points. So you can't deny that. What made it better is those two things. Liam said, hey, we got to fix this. This alignment.
We need this ball out faster.
You see this alignment? This line that goes down the middle of your body. We got to turn you a little bit. Got to get that left foot forward. You got to get you ready to deliver that rock on time with quickness and efficiency. After we get that done, now what? We're going to look at everything pre-snap, and we're going to help you figure out where you're going to go with the football. And when you can do that, then you're into second nature. Now I'm not thinking, right? And by the way,
then you just let it rip.
By the way, the first part worked, like you could tell it changed early. The second part, it took about 8 weeks. And then once it clicked, they both came together and hit at the right time. So I would expect it to hit again. I'm just saying, like, the way you defend that, they're going to somebody's going to come up with something and come up with a way to either make that, like, okay, you could say what? In zone, Trevor doesn't always see the backside defender that's sitting there. He either hasn't been driven out or he's just locked onto his guy who's coming on an in route, and that's fair.
Waiting to let it go,
we saw it in the Buffalo game.
We did.
He regressed a little bit in that. So
we saw both of those things.
We have. So if we're thinking that as a defensive court, so then, I'm game planning. How do you take
advantage of that?
Right.
Yeah.
And then we got to figure out on offense, the Jags, like, okay, so they're going to try that. Well, guess what? We're going to put this in, and it's going to make it even better, and we're going to make sure he sees the backside guy.
Yeah, and we go back to the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and Philly said, we've got to figure out a way to put pressure on Patrick Mahomes because that's the way we're going to win this football game, and that's what they did.
And they did.
Now, other defenses are saying that with Trevor, not necessarily the pressure, because to your point against Denver, I think Trevor's pretty good under pressure, and he proved that this last year that he can still, especially down the stretch, under pressure, he was still able to run the offense efficiently. And take off and run, which even adds a whole level. So we'll get into some more of these things. Tommy, you have a lot on Foye Oluokun and some of these other middle linebackers in the league, so I do want to get to that. It is a big Chief Tire Monday. Again, Lauren Brooks is on vacation, so Tommy and I today holding things down. We'll continue this Jaguars and Foye talk on the other side right here on Helmets and Heels.
Yo, Jacksonville.
It's a Duval thing.
Let's go. Duval.
1010XL. Now, the Florida Gator Report on 1010XL. Installed by Cash Building Material. Windows and doors done right.
Die-hard college football fans always zero in on recruiting this time of year, and Florida fans have plenty to be excited about. ESPN releasing its latest team rankings, with the Gators in at number 4, behind Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Miami. Florida head coach John Summerall picking up pledges from a dozen of the top 300 recruits, according to the Next 300 list of college-bound players, including Maxwell Hiller, a 5-star offensive lineman.
Jeff Prosser here. When you need new windows or doors, you want high-end quality without the middleman markup, and that's why I'm telling you about Cash Building Material. Same premium materials, same beautiful finishes, but at a price that actually makes sense for your home. No subcontractors, no runaround, just their own experienced crews who treat your house like it's theirs. If you want it done right, the first time, get a quote today. Thank me tomorrow. For windows and doors, search Cash Building Material. Windows and doors done right.
Helmets and heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Overheard at the Hard Rock Bet Party.
Hey man, what's Hard Rock Bet giving you players?
If you win your first $5 bet, you get $150 in bonus bets.
$750? ¿Cuánto?
Oh, was that Ronaldinho? Sounds like his first bet scored.
Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook. Roll with us. New customers bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Payable in bonus bets, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 plus and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about your gambling? Call or text 1-833-PLAY-WISE.
You may not be able to control the air you breathe on the outside, but you certainly can on the inside of your home. Just call Florida Home AC and ask about the Remy Halo. It's the next generation of air quality technology. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC.
SportsForecaster.com has all the data you need to project tomorrow's winners. Register for free and track the performance of all your favorite players and teams, including all your fantasy team picks and prospects. Sports Forecaster has the most detailed player profiles on the web, precise depth charts, every transaction, every injury, every news update. No ranting or raving, no preening or barstool bluster. At SportsForecaster.com, you get the timely info you need for every game. SportsForecaster.com. Sign up for free today.
48 teams, one goal, to raise the World Cup trophy. It's the beautiful game on the biggest stage. Get World Cup soccer updates on 1010XL. Serviced by Valvoline Instant Oil Changes and Houston's Meats.
June is Men's Health Month, and at Orthopedic Specialists of Jacksonville, we believe your health is a partnership. This is Dr. Kevin Kaplan, and our OSJ team works with you to create personalized orthopedic treatment plans built around your goals, your lifestyle, and your recovery. Whether you're dealing with joint pain, sports injuries, or back discomfort, you don't have to push through it alone. From weekend warriors to professional athletes, OSJ is here to help you get back to doing what you love pain-free. Visit Orthopedic Specialists of Jacksonville at osjax.com to schedule your appointment.
Northeast Florida's highest-rated residential home electrical contractor is American Electrical, providing unsurpassed quality in Duval, St. Johns, Clay, and Nassau counties. No matter your electrical problem or project, large or small, American Electrical will get it done at a price that's right. High-quality electrician, that's who they are. Trust a company that's been on the First Coast for decades, proudly serving the community while being a big part of the community. Call American Electrical for all your electric needs at 737-7770. Wired right at a fair price.
Good people drink good beer, and great people drink Mocama, a refined craft brewery out of Fernandina Beach, Florida. Mocama Beer Company brings sophisticated flagship beers, including Cosmico IPA and Dune Garden Lager, to the greater Jacksonville area. Whether you're hitting the water with friends or enjoying a backyard barbecue, Mocama has the perfect pair for your summer activities. Look for us wherever great beers are sold and find your Mocama.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
Welcome back to Helmets and Heels, continuing on some Jaguars talk and specifying, kind of zooming in on the middle linebackers. Tommy, you on your podcast earlier talked about this a little bit also, but we've had this conversation as we're going through the NFL Top 100. We talked last week about Foye, because obviously Azeez Al-Shaair landing on that list, and so we are saying, if Azeez is landing there, where does Foye fit? Should he be on the list? We all agreed that hands down Foye Oluokun should be on that Top 100 list. We have seen him kind of not really get the recognition we feel like he's deserved in the past at times. He's been one of the more consistent linebackers when it comes to tackles, and it's not even, you talk about it all the time, that where that tackle happens is really important, and he makes those tackles a lot of times, before the line of scrimmage and close to the line of scrimmage, and that's where you want those to happen. And so you did a breakdown of a lot of different guys in the NFL, some of the better middle linebackers. So you said that if in a 4-3, the middle backer,
like Foye.
Yeah, like a Foye, and then in a 3-4 defense,
just inside
linebacker,
and not the outside rush guys.
Yeah,
and not the Sams, and not even the Wills in a 4-3.
Okay.
Just wanted to with Foye. Now Foye ranks right up there with pretty much the other,
all of them, all the top, all
the top guys. It's one thing the consensus out of all of it, because let me just preface by saying, so the 6 categories that I looked at were overall tackles, sacks, tackles for loss, interceptions, passes defensed, and forced fumbles. So the last 3, you're either picking off the ball, you're knocking the ball down, and you're delivering or punching the ball out. You're either delivering a big hit or you're punching the ball out. Okay, so those are important, obviously. So you look at Foye in last year, and he the two stats that I think stand out is I look at tackles for loss and then passes defensed. So passes defense obviously are knocking down balls, guys. You're being targeted, but you're covering well, right? So it shows. And you look down the list and I did like 17 different guys. You should know all the names. They're all big names for the most part. Today's linebacker, you got to cover.
Yeah, big time. That's a big shift we've seen.
You really have to cover. Now, you still have to be good enough to help stop the run. And now that's why your D-line is so important.
Yeah.
You know how I often say, like, nickel and dime, if it's normally a hat on a hat, and if they run the ball, they'll get running on you.
Yeah.
Because you got to hit, shed, make a play at the line of scrimmage or near it, right?
Yeah.
Very hard to do when you're in the nickel package, right? There's not a lot of beef up front to keep that beef off of you.
Yeah.
Right, so it's very important. So when I was looking at these guys, so like Foye, 5 tackles for us, so like, it's not that many. Like, okay, but he's on a defense that was number 1 in rushing defense and for games per game allowed.
Yeah, and
then 2nd in yards per carry. So that means the middle backers, he's making a lot of plays at the line of scrimmage or near the line of scrimmage.
Because, they're already stopping the runners up there.
Correct.
That's something we saw consistently through last year. Right. So that's why, and like each of these, that's what's going to be interesting as you go through these, Tommy, because each defense is going to be a little bit different. So some of these guys, too, when it comes to the opposite of Foye, if some of these linebackers are on a team where the run defense was really bad, you're probably giving them more credit to that if they were able to stop the run or make those big tackles for loss.
Like I look at, we were talking about him off the air, Jamie and Sherwood from the Jets. He had a monster year.
Yeah.
And I remember watching him on film first and then watching him here. I'm like, that guy, he's a player, man. He makes a lot of tackles. He had 8 tackles for loss, 8 passes defense. So he's good in the run.
Yeah.
He's good in the pass, just by those numbers. Now, no picks. But 8 passes defense that you're making plays in that passing attack.
Yeah.
Which again, you have to be able to do that. Yeah. Now, you look at other guys like the Jordan Brooks, Jack Campbell's really well-rounded.
He's very good.
He's very well-rounded. Now, only 4 passes defense, but 9 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. So they send him a lot, which I think they need to send Foye. I've said that before. Foye needs to go more.
Yeah.
He's got
closing
a little bit
speed.
Last
year. Yeah.
Like 4,
but
5.
Lloyd, you had Lloyd last year doing a lot of that. So now you'd probably expect to see more from him. And I guess unless you're
love to see more.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is, do these guys like Jack Campbell, Jordan Brooks, who had a monster year down in Miami, do they play nickel? I don't know that answer.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I know they play in their base. I mean, Jordan Brooks had a phenomenal year. 183 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, 0 picks, 3 passes defense, and 1 forced fumble. Yeah. Now, when you look at the guys that went to the Pro Bowl, their stats aren't anywhere near the top guys that I've already mentioned.
Yeah. What you were saying was Roquan.
Roquan, no sacks, no picks, no forced fumbles. He had 5 tackles for loss, 15 games, 130 tackles, 0 sacks. Azeez Al-Shahir, now at least he had 9 pass defense, so he can move and cover. But 2 picks, so that's good, obviously. 1 tackle for loss, no sacks, 103 tackles. Like, what is that? 16 games. Those two should not have been in. That's where it shows where, like, that is
just
all
vote.
It's all
popularity
contest. Vote. Because you don't know any. You don't know any better.
And Roquan at one point was somebody that you've been able to see the drop off, which is interesting because he goes to the Ravens where you felt like they did have this defense, especially up front.
Yep.
Their secondary had struggled. It got a little better deep into the season last year, but that's where you would think he'd be able to thrive in that defense when he got over there. But honestly, his career numbers were better when he was in Chicago.
With
they
the
kind
Bears.
of utilized him right when he was with
and
the Bears.
Patrick Queen played inside with him too with the Ravens. I think maybe took some of that thunder away. But how about this?
I will say real quick. So Jack Campbell had said that the Lions he does play nickel. Okay. The Lions have frequently used a heavy hybrid nickel and base defense where they keep their starting linebackers on the field. This is something that they said because he's heading into just year 3. So that's another crazy thing. They were talking about his sophomore season last year, that coverage, his coverage grade is what improved the most between his rookie and sophomore season. So that's something that you've seen them utilize him a lot more in.
Yeah, good for. I mean, he's probably just figuring out the zones more. You know, and eventually it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
You know where to go. You kind of read the quarterback. You know what you figure out? You figure out the routes and how they're supposed to go. They're all supposed to fit like in a puzzle. So if that 2 comes out, I know one's coming in somewhere. And you just kind of get the hang of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like that. I think the more you're out there, you figure that out. How about this? Couple of old timers. It's unbelievable. These guys are great. Bobby Wagner. I mean, 30. What is he? 36. Last year, 17 games he played, 162 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss, 2 picks, 4 passes defense, no forced fumbles. But getting it done. How about Devin White?
Almost 36 years old, by the way.
How about Devin White? Now, he had a couple off years. But last year, 11 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, 174 tackles, 1 pick, 3 passes defense, and 1 forced fumble.
Yeah, he's been one of the more, what I feel like one of the more consistent too. We talk about Foye doing that, and the Raiders added him this last season. Yep. So when we talk about, he went from Houston to the Raiders. But when you talk about somebody who I feel like can make an instant impact, it's been Devin White. And no matter where he is, he can fit in almost any style defense. And that's the type of linebacker that you like to see.
He can run. He's always been able to run. Him and Levante David in Tampa. I mean, talk about a tandem. They were quite the tandem.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys. But he can run, and he's a thumper. So he's a great mix of what today's game is. Yeah.
So we talked a lot, Tommy, about, and I'm guessing you did not put this person in there, but it'd be interesting to see because of what Seattle did with Eamon Warren. Oh, you do have him.
Well, no, I have Ernest Jones. The fourth or the fourth.
Just because using a safety as a linebacker, I wonder how much we start to see some NFL teams do that, using bigger safeties from college into that role.
Yeah, we should look that up.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll do that. Ernest Jones, I'm glad you brought him up. So Seattle, #1 defense, yards per carry, 3.7, middle backer. They're doing work.
Yeah.
But listen to this: 126 tackles. He played in 15 games, so he missed 2. Half a sack, 4 TFLs, 5 picks, 1 for a touchdown, 7 passes defense. So talk about being pretty darn productive on a team where, you say, well, it's 126 tackles. Yeah, but that D-line probably made a lot of those tackles. That's why they were giving up
tackling machine up front.
3.7 yards a carry is insane.
That's
for
wild.
the whole year.
Yeah.
By the way, our team was like 3.6. Little by little, it crept up to 4.0. Theirs did not.
Yeah,
Seattle's did not. It stayed at 3.7, no doubt. But that's a ball player. One of our favorite guys, Zach Bond. Now he's all you got to like. This is what I like.
Talk about scheme fit working.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Right, because he came from the Saints. And you're like, who's this guy? And then he goes to Philly and thrives.
Yep.
And that's a good point. Like certain skill sets will thrive. So, and that's I know what people are saying about Devin Lloyd. Well, he thrived because of this system.
Because of how they used him here.
Because how they used him.
And now
what
will that look like in Carolina? Yeah.
Right. But Zach Bond, he's one of our. He's just a great player. 123 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 7 TFLs, 2 picks, 7 passes defense, and a forced fumble. So I think as we look today, I want my middle backer. Look, making tackles, that's your job. That's like a prerequisite. You don't get a cookie for making tackles. especially if you've got protection in front of you.
Yeah.
You know, you got, I mean, look, Ray Lewis is one of the greatest of all time. I've said this before. But he also had two of the biggest defensive tackles in the game where he didn't have to take on many blocks. Now, his instincts were second to none. And if you got good instincts, you can play middle backer. You can play any linebacker. But if you know where to find that ball like that, like you decipher quick, your instincts, you can figure out the play quick, and you can get there quick, you're going to make a pretty darn good linebacker. So, you know, having, you know, guys in front of you is a delicacy, if you will. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's why you talk about what Seattle did this last year in their defensive line. That was one of the most impressive things to watch because we talked about that rotation and how important that was. It kept their guys fresh. That's why throughout the playoffs, you just felt like they kept being able to do it all. It doesn't take away from a guy like Ernest Jones, but it helps him, obviously. And so it's beneficial in that sense. But I do think that when you have a defense like that, what we saw from Philly, especially a couple years ago, those Ravens defenses for a long time, honestly, you're probably putting the Texans defense into that conversation too, which is interesting. One of the things I asked you off air are any of the AFC South guys on your list. And you talked about Azeez Al-Shaair, who you said probably didn't deserve by his numbers last year to be in the Pro Bowl. But he is one of those guys that lands on the top linebackers list year after year. And we don't like him because of some of the dirty things, but he's a good ball player. And he fits that defense really well.
And for the record, stats or no stats, go watch the Texans games. Number zeros around the ball.
Everywhere.
He makes plays all over the place. So, you know, whether the stats show it or not, your eye test says, no, he's a good football player. And by the way, these are all really good football players. And we have a really good football player in Foye Oluokun. He deserves more credit, more attention. There's no doubt about it. But when you do look at these different, and they're AFC, NFC, I didn't separate them. There's plenty of both. Yeah. So he's right in there with the best. You can't say he's the best, but you can say he's one of the best, without question.
And we'll continue that conversation on a little bit. I looked at I was just curious last year going into the season, the names that were at the top of the linebacker rankings specifically, and they didn't separate the inside middle. This is just the linebackers.
They went off-ball linebacker.
So the first tier they had was Fred Warner at the top. He was their number one going into the season last year. And then in their tier 2, they actually had Zach Bond, Bobby Wagner, Roquan. Drake Greenlaw was on that next list for them. The tier 3 is someone you mentioned off air, neither of you. Bobby Okereke, something like that. We both were trying to figure out how to say his name, but he is on that next tier with Devin Lloyd last year. This is, like I said, heading into this is August of 2020 of 2025 last year. Jack Campbell was in that tier. Edgar and Cooper out of with the Packers was in that tier. They actually put TJ Edwards of the Bears, who had a down year last year, so it'll be interesting. I don't even think he'd make this list this year. Quincy Williams with the Jets, who obviously they parted ways with, so that's a couple names that they're going to be looking out for. So a lot of the names that Nick Bolton was on this list, Frankie Louvu, another guy that was on this list, Patrick Queen, you mentioned for a little bit. So this is a long list of linebackers. That Foye last year came at number 19 in tier 4. With that group of guys.
Right.
So
and if you're lumping in Sam, Will, and Mike,
it probably
that's what
expands it a little bit. Yeah, they're putting all of them in there. So, okay, we'll continue on a little bit more Jaguars talk on the other side right here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
At the First Coast YMCA, you'll find much more than just a gym. We offer many ways to help you become more active, reach your weight loss goals, and find your inner strength. Membership at the Y includes state-of-the-art facilities, a huge variety of fitness classes, and programs for all ages. It's easy to join the Y since it's affordable for all incomes. The Y is a great place to make connections and experience something new. Visit the YMCA near you or online at fcymca.org.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Hey, Jacksonville, it's Fred Taylor. If you've been in an auto accident, you need a team who knows how to get you back on your feet and back to your life. At North Florida Medical Center, they don't just treat the injury, they treat the whole person, from physical therapy to pain management. North Florida Medical Center has a team of experts ready to help you heal and recover. I trust the team here at North Florida Medical Center, and you can too. So don't wait. Call North Florida Medical Center and get the care you deserve.
Hacker here, and I've had a lot of conversations with buddies of mine in recent weeks and months about, this weight loss deal or this shot they're taking or this pill that suppresses their appetite. And I stop and think, man, I was lucky to find Awaken 180 weight loss. No shots, no appetite suppressants, no pills that they give you and say, all right, we'll talk to you in 2 months. You get real coaching. You get real knowledge. You get a real plan to lose real weight. And more importantly, keep that weight off. Awaken 180 Weight Loss is the best program I've ever been on. I lost over 100 pounds. It gave me my life back. If it's time for you to get your life back, go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com, or call 844-346-1800. No shots, no medication, just knowledge. And as we all know, guys, knowledge is power. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Longer days, warmer nights, and a backyard that brings everyone together. Spring and summer in Florida means pool days, backyard barbecues, and night swims under the stars. Picket here. For nearly 50 years, Surfside Pools have been creating the backdrops for life's best memories. From weekly service and repairs to remodels, commercial maintenance, and new pool construction, Surfside does it all. Ready to float happy? SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools. Summer starts here. License number CPC 044080.
Lauren Brooks here. If you're like most of us at 1010XL, you have a long list of things you want to get done around the house before football season begins. Do yourself a favor and make an appointment today to check out Closets by Design's new showroom on Phillips Highway, especially the incredible garage. Closets by Design can help turn any garage into a custom organized space. Call 904-878-9393 to schedule your free in-home design consultation and get 40% off plus an additional 15% off and free installation, or online closetsbydesign.com.
Yeah, I know how awful it is to get injured, but not like my friend Tom, who got rear-ended last year. Tom McMahon is here. Morgan & Morgan can help you. They're the largest personal injury law firm in the nation. 1,000 lawyers, 100 offices across the nation, and over $30 billion recovered. And guess what? They don't get a single penny unless you do. A proven track record with backup. Hard to find these days, but not with Morgan & Morgan. For the people, that's right. Get injured due to someone's neglect, get paid. Dial pound law or check out forthepeople.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
We've got the World Cup on right now. Japan and Brazil playing in the knockout round of 32, tied at 1 right now. This is a very interesting game. I heard them talking on one of the updates earlier, Tommy, that with the Westwood One updates that we do throughout the day. And so Brazil, who does have 5 World Cup wins, hasn't won in 25 years, but they haven't lost. And this is, I want to say she said in like 20 games on American soil. They've won like 20 straight or something. Whoa. But Japan is on 10 straight wins right now in, obviously throughout the World Cup so far and previous to that. So both are on some winning streaks, both tied at 1 in the 73rd minute right now. So we'll keep an eye out on that. We saw Canada win last night in the 92nd minute. That was wild. Yep. And so we're just getting started. There's a triple header today of games when it comes to that. So we'll keep an eye on some of those things. But Tommy, you and I off air, we're continuing some of this conversation when it comes to the linebackers, because I mentioned Nick Emanwari, for example, and that was Seattle. He was, when you talk about safety and how Seattle used him more as a linebacker, though. So I was interested to see some of his numbers. So we're looking at those. How does his numbers compare to some of those other middle linebackers we were talking about and what they were doing?
Pretty comparable. I mean, look, not as many total tackles, but 9 tackles for loss, which means he's playing at the line of scrimmage. 11 passes defense, which means he can get back and cover. 2.5 sacks, 4 QB hits. So they do send him. I think they can send him more. I mean, I don't. I mean, look, it's give and take. You do take a risk when you send more, guys, but with guys with tremendous speed and can time it right, I'd take those chances more more than not. But look, whether you do it that way like Seattle or what the Lions do with Jack Campbell and that bigger nickel, we still want our backers. And why? Because they're still going to pound the ball, and I need that beef enough to stop that run. Because if they get going against our smaller guys, you know what happens. They just keep running the ball.
So if I were to ask you if Foye has a weakness, what his weakness is, what would you say?
I don't, weakness. I don't think it's a weakness because it is today's game. I think it's hard to get off blocks in today's game, and it's not, there's no two-gapping. There used to be two-gapping.
Yeah.
Two-gapping means hit the guard, and you got either side of them. You don't just pick a side. You got to two-gap the guys.
Yeah.
Where the back is, you got to go that way. They don't do that anymore. He's perfect because he can run and he can cover. I think the one thing all our backers, Lloyd didn't have this problem. I don't believe. Lloyd had no problem getting off blocks because he's that bigger stature. His length helped him. He was physical. So he could get off blocks pretty easily. I see other guys like Foye, not all the time because Foye makes a lot of plays, but if there's one thing you would do is you'd go after him a little bit more, meaning straight at him.
Yeah.
I'd go straight at Ventrell too, see if he can hold up. But again, it's a different – there's no fullback lead. It's just a different game. Now, in nickel, when it's probably going to be them two, unless Combs can beat out Ventrell there, I would still, if I'm the opposing offense, try to pound the rock against those guys. But if they've got a really good front four, then that's how Seattle does it, right?
Yeah.
You can have undersized guys, not that Ernest is undersized, but you can have more speedy guys to help you cover as long as you got beef up front to keep those big guys off my guys and let them go make tackles.
So where has the issues come? Because this has been several of the last few years for the Jaguars when it comes to covering the tight ends. Where are those issues coming from?
That's a great question. Well, first of all, how far back do you want to go? I mean, because I remember Kelsey, nobody could cover Kelsey in his prime. I don't know why we didn't double him in that playoff game. We didn't double him, I don't think, one time. Remember Rashawn Jenkins, who's a great safety, had to take him one-on-one. You're like, that ain't working. Switch it up. I don't know. I think it's a combination of just having the right skill, being able to read the play correctly. You don't have – look, if you take a false step forward because you think it's a run, you bite on the play. We call it biting on the play action. The tight ends today are just fast where they'll get up the field quick. So do you have makeup speed to catch up to the hip pocket?
Yeah.
You don't have to catch up to them straight for straight, but you got to get in that hip, so they got to throw the ball over so your safety can have a chance on making a play on the ball, or you yourself. So that's probably and look, I think prior to this year, communication.
Yeah.
I mean, look,
a lot of it in 2024 it was a lot of
it was
miscommunication.
brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, they go in man and then they go 4 strong, and our backers be like, I don't know who I have. You like count. They're right there. Like if you're the backside, guess who you have? The first one coming out to your side. Hello.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like they wouldn't even communicate. Like the in and outs, they weren't communicating. I remember Foye and Lloyd 2 years ago, not last year, the year before. Like they were like you got a tight end and an offset back. You're man to man. You have to in out them, or you're gonna get caught in the wash.
Yeah. All
you got to do is turn and be like, all right, we're gonna in and out these guys. Yeah, we got it. In and out. Take the inside guy. You take the outside guy. Boom.
And I think a lot of people put a lot of that on Lloyd that year. And that's why there was some criticisms coming into the offseason about Lloyd, which there had been since his rookie season. That's why, obviously, the team didn't give him that fifth-year option either. They wanted to see a little bit more. But when it came to some of the miscommunications, I think a lot was put on Lloyd.
And it was. But let me throw this out there because what I've been told with the past, Nielsen and Caldwell, they were doing things in coverage that was confusing.
Okay.
They were splitting the field in half. Now, not all the time, but enough. And then think about it vertically. So if I went down the field over the center, half the side is zone, the other side's man. So if I'm in the zone side and he comes into the man, do I take him?
Yeah.
And if I'm in the zone side and he comes from the, because when I play zone, I play the man in my zone.
Yeah.
I don't just
And so
sit.
all of a sudden, midfield, you're trying to figure out.
Throw me a crossing route and I'm screwed. I mean, you got two guys crossing in front of me. I'm
that
like,
was me, but now it's you.
Now
and then
what?
you're trying to
Right.
communicate that really quickly.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah.
And then another thing they were doing, if you remember, I didn't understand why they would do that because Lloyd was playing a lot of nickel and dime, and he was like Savage would be the safety. Him and bad pick, that guy. And then Lloyd would be the backer. And all they were going to do is drop in the hook zone, which is basically straight back about 5 yards.
Yeah.
It's maybe you go on a little bit of an angle. You just read the play and you figure out what your angle is.
Yeah.
But you're not going far. But they had him crisscrossing at the snap. And I'm like, that's not fooling anybody.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? They just recount you. Like,
he was trying to do too much. It did feel like that a lot. And that's what, just real quick, when it comes to the tight end. So the Jags had allowed the 9th most yards against tight ends last year with 1,004 and 8 touchdowns. So they were in the top 9 when it comes to yards allowed and the top 10 when it comes to touchdowns allowed. But the Bengals, when you talk about a bad defense, they allowed over 1,400 yards against tight ends and 16 touchdowns against tight ends. Granted, it's also, you have to look at the schedule sometimes in which tight ends you're playing, because I do think that factors into
and
some
for
of
the
this
record, a lot of times it wasn't tight end 1. It was the second tight end or the third that caught us. So those matchups may be mismatches.
All right, well, we have Tommy's take on the other side, so we will get to that coming up next on Helmets and Heels.
Now, Tommy's Takes. Protected by Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com. 1010XL.
When I met you in the summer.
Jacksonville's summer station.
When I met you in the summer.
Where summer memories come alive.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. When you need a trailer hitch, gooseneck, or RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We've been doing it for 55 years, and customer service is our #1 priority. Visit cannonsofjacks.com.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Run into Superior Fireworks on Blanding Boulevard in Orange Park for their America 250 early sale. This is the last day for their best prices and selection before the huge last-minute crowds arrive. SuperiorFireworks.com/radio.
Summertime is here, and that means it's grilling season. Now, before you overpay at the big box stores, make a stop at Houston's Meat Company on Main Street in Jacksonville. For more than 50 years, Houston's has been Jacksonville's local butcher shop, serving up quality meats, incredible prices, and the kind of service you just can't find at the grocery chain. Steaks, burgers, chicken, ribs, whatever's on the grill this weekend, Houston's has you covered. Shop local, grill better. Make Houston's Meat Company part of your weekend tradition.
Credit card interest rates are now over 29%. Most people are only making the minimum payments, so they're getting nowhere. Hey, Prosser here, but here's what many homeowners don't realize. Using the equity in your home, you can easily access hundreds of thousands in cash. With Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan, you can pay off your credit card, your existing HELOC, your car loans, or get money for that home improvement project. One client just got $100,000 approved and saved over $1,500 a month. Here's the best part. With Loan Pronto, you can do it all from your phone. With zero out-of-pocket, no hard credit pull up front, no appraisal, no long drawn-out bank process, and no touching your first mortgage. Rates are at a near 3-year low. Act now. Go to loanpronto.com. See how much you can get in about 60 seconds. Loan Pronto, 2,800 5-star Google reviews. Call 904-999-1508 or go to loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Hicken here. See clearly with the Eye Associates and trusted optometrists Zachary Boskool and Alice LaFlamme. From comprehensive eye exams, dry eye care, glaucoma management, diabetic eye care, and more, Dr. Boskool and Dr. LaFlamme are dedicated to protecting your vision. Immediate availability at all 5 Jacksonville locations. Schedule today with Dr. Boskool and Dr. LaFlamme by calling the Eye Associates, formerly Bow 9 Associates, Schneider Eye and Wellness Center, and Janet Betchkel, MD, at 296-0098.
The weather is heating up, and it's time to drop a line in the water. Gear up today at Green Acres Sporting Goods, Jacksonville's fishing headquarters. From Shimano and Penn Reels to Zoom baits and much more for saltwater and freshwater fishing. They've got everything you need to land the big one. And when your gear needs work, trust their expert rod and reel repair to keep you casting like new. Stop by Green Acres today or shop online at greenacresporting.com.
Today's vehicles are smarter than ever, but that also means they need more precision than ever. Features like lane assist, collision warning, and adaptive cruise control all rely on cameras, sensors, part of what's called ADAS. And if those systems are even slightly off, they might not work correctly. That's why, after certain repairs, your vehicle will need ADAS calibration. At G&H Tires and Service, they have the ADAS system, so your vehicle's safety features work the way they're supposed to. Don't guess with your safety. G&H Tires and Service. Precision that protects.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
All right, little headbanging here. I like it. I like it. Welcome back to Helmets and Heels. Tom McManus here, Taylor Dahl here, RJ Saunders here, Lauren Brooks on vacation. Continuing on this talk about linebackers, specifically Foye Oluokun and his comparison to some of those other middle linebackers in the league. But there are some other linebackers, obviously, that you talk about that do a really good job at other things. And I was looking at the list from last year heading into the season of their linebacker rankings. And because some of them play well in other spots, we didn't go over them previously. And so before we get to Tommy's take, there's a few guys that pop out to me on this list, and one of those being who they have last on this list, but that's Matt Milano, who's he's struggled with injuries throughout his career, and that's one of the more unfortunate things, but one of the better cover guys in the league. Yeah.
Really good cover, good blitzer. You could run at him, though. He's one of those undersized. I mean, he's a big guy, but he's not he's not LaVon Kirkland thumping a guard. You know what I mean? But again, different game. And he fits in well because he can run sideline to sideline. Mm-hmm. That's what they need. Playing just inside the box is important, but you got to be able to run sideline to sideline today. You got to be able to cover, got to be able to blitz. He does all those things really well.
Yeah, one of the other names, because you mentioned towards the top of this, somebody that you like a lot, and that's Jamie Sherwood that plays for the Jets. And so interesting because last year they mentioned him. He was on the list. He came in that final, it was a list of 32, and he made 28 on that. And so they kind of pointed out that it was the injury to C.J. Mosley in 2024 that even paved the way for Sherwood to originally get out on the field. And he definitely took advantage of that because very quickly, he was only 25 years old during 2024 season when he kind of broke out, but then he was 16th in the NFL among qualifiers for when it comes to that linebacker total defense grade. So it was something you saw pretty quickly from him, which is interesting. And we've talked about it here in other ways when it's like a guy gets injured, someone comes out and outperforms you, that decision to make it. We saw it with Walker Little and Cole Van Lanen this year. So it is kind of, that's one way. If CJ Mosley doesn't get hurt, are we talking about Sherwood
very
this
good
year?
Point. I mean, hey, listen, I would have never made the team in 95 if a couple guys didn't get hurt in training camp for a little bit. You just got to hope those opportunities happen for you. And he made the most of it. I tell you, again, when you just look at tackles for loss and passes defense, it means you attack on run and you can cover in the pass. I mean, you're getting your hands on the ball. That means you're in the path of the football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're doing that either through the system or your skill or both.
Yeah,
so he's got plenty
two.
of that. So.
Yeah, and that's what we talk about, the places we mentioned, Bond, what a Devin Lloyd will look like in a different system, because a lot of people kind of say, hey, they did it perfectly for him, but also how much does that affect what Foye does this year? Because I do think in certain ways, Devin Lloyd could rush the passer, and he could drop back in coverage, and he could do all of those things this last year. So which of the linebackers we have, or is it a combination of guys that they use to help Foye this year?
I think so. We were talking about this during a break. The question is, at least for me, is that because one thing that Devin didn't get enough credit for was his physicality. And he could take on linemen. And one thing when I was talking, when you play just say nickel. So you got Foye and then you got Lloyd, which will be somebody else this year.
Yeah.
You try to keep the running plays in between you if they come to your side. Like if I'm outside Foye, I don't let that ball get outside of me, right?
Yeah.
I turn it back into him and he can come. We got to work together. One thing about Devin Lloyd is he'd hold the force because he was physical. Like you could send a tackle on him, a tight end on him. He would hold the force, not let anybody get outside. So is Ventrell that? Branson Combs that?
Yeah, one of those.
Will they be that? As far as the coverage, I'm confident Ventrell can cover.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know Branson's fast and athletic. Can he really cover? We'll find out. In this camp and beyond. And is there somebody else that may Parker Hughes?
Yeah.
He runs a 4.3. Okay, running in a straight line's fantastic.
Yeah.
How athletic and can he cover? We're going to find out.
Sideline to sideline.
But you got to have those are the traits you got to have playing middle linebacker today.
Well, and that's going to be clearly one of the biggest conversations here, but it's around the league too, because everyone's saying you lost Devin Lloyd and ETN. So the linebacker and the running back are going to be two things that a lot of people are focused on outside because they don't feel like on paper you replace those guys.
Well, first of all, Devin shouldn't get a knock because they simplified things for him and he thrived in their system.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
He was the only All-Pro in your system.
Yeah.
So, you know
and
what I mean?
multiple guys improved in this system.
Well,
so there was
absolutely.
clearly issues before that.
No doubt.
But that's one take. Let's get to Tommy's other take today.
All right.
Now, Tommy's Takes. Protected by Morgan & Morgan. ForThePeople.com. Or dial #law. That's all.
All right. My take on this beautiful Monday afternoon brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Not a great take because it's sad. I know it's all out there now that Chris Johnson, the great running back, just 40 years old, diagnosed with ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. Just an awful disease. They don't have a cure. I believe they have medicines to help you and
slow it down
a little, but they haven't figured out how to actually stop it. I have a personal friend that has it. It's devastating. And you feel bad for everybody. You feel bad for him. You feel bad for his wife, his kids. He says his wife and kids are right by his side, staying with him, helping him. It's just so sad, and there's I'm not a doctor, obviously, but, it's amazing how in one disease, your body shuts down, but your brain remains.
Yeah.
Another disease, your
Like
brain
dementia,
shuts down, but your body stays fine until just weird.
I know.
It's weird, but I've just thoughts and prayers to anybody and everybody that has that in their life or any disease that's not curable. I mean, I know the person that I know, he lives life full, like Chris Johnson, he's like, look, I'm going to fight it. I'm going to fight it. I'm going to live. I know it's easier said than done, but I hope you can get to that level of thinking and whatnot. Because,
mental strength of that.
There's still memories to be made, right? There's still memories to be made. And that's my take today, brought to you by our good friends at Morgan & Morgan. Pound Law, that's all, and ForThePeople.com.
Yeah, when I saw that this morning, it's absolutely devastating. And I was thinking about it the same way because we watched, Bears fans watched it, obviously, with Mongo. And you see somebody who is just like this fierce monster of a human on the football field and one of the most physical human beings when you see him watch that and their body, them not be able to get out of bed. Like towards the end of Mongo's life, it was just, and he was aware. I remember when they told him that he was getting into the Hall of Fame, like you could tell the eye, like you could tell by his eyes get big and it's there, like the mental, everything is there, but they're just not able to use their body in that. And if you watch the interview of Chris Johnson this morning, he's using kind of that, the computer type system that helps him communicate now, which is so devastating. And my uncle actually played, he was his quarterback at Olympia down in Orlando. And so when my uncle was a junior, he was a sophomore. And then when my uncle, his senior years, when Chris Johnson had his like insane junior season at Olympia. And it was really, one of the games that I went to that year, it was, first of all, he's one of the fastest people I've ever seen in person in my entire life. And so I remember at this game, it was one of my first real vivid memories of football because I was probably around 10, 11, something like that. And I had always watched football, but this is when I really started asking questions and wanting to understand the game and what was really going on. And so my grandpa was kind of teaching me a lot of these things. And we go to one of the football games, and Chris Johnson broke off for like a 70-yard touchdown. And the bottom of his cleat, he was running so fast and hard, the bottom of his cleat fell off. And he continued the run and got a touchdown. And when we were in the stands, we didn't really know what was happening. We saw all the commotion, and we saw people kind of like going crazy on the sideline, but also confused. And someone goes on the field and like picks something up later to find out that the whole sole of his shoe fell off. So he was running. He ran out of his shoes literally. But my uncle, I texted him this morning because they were very close in high school and still good friends. And so he's devastated, obviously, and he has known it for a little while. But I think that it's one of the situations where it's heartbreaking to watch someone go through that. But so thoughts and prayers to his family, his wife, his kids. And that's one of the first things that his wife said is the hardest part for her is the children. And, because there's not really any way to explain to the kids right now for them to fully grasp what's happening.
No, absolutely. I mean, you go, like you talk about Mongo, like think of his family seeing him, the way he was, and then how he ends up. You're like, man, how does that happen? Like, it's just insane. What's insane? Brazil just scored 2-1 over Japan. And it's about over because it's +6. There's only 30 seconds
pretty much
remaining.
over.
Wow.
They had like +6 in stoppage time, and that's running out right now. So
just
it
did
looks
it.
like Brazil.
Just hit it.
Crazy.
Wow. That is crazy.
Both of the games, obviously, we talked about Canada and the stoppage time winning in the 92nd minute, and now looks like Brazil's heading there too. So interesting stuff so far in the knockout round. They haven't. It's definitely been pretty exciting, especially for us, Tommy, who don't watch all the time. So we like these exciting moments and storylines to follow. But we'll continue some Jaguars talk and some stuff around the NFL on the other side coming up next here on Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This is 1010 XL Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Summer is finally here, and it's time to take advantage of Zero Res's best deal of the summer. Hicken here. Don't let rising gas prices stop you from having a clean and healthy home. Zero Res is keeping comfortable affordable with a powerful cleaning at a price families can feel good about. Zero Res can handle every surface in your home. Carpets, tile, grout, hardwood, laminate, upholstery, rugs, air ducts, and more. Take 25% off all services except air duct cleaning. That's $5.99 per system for air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com. Ask for the 1010XL special.
Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
The doctors at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists have resolved my hip and foot issues, and I'm back to training for the 2028 Olympics in LA. This is Garrett Scantling, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
This is David Garrard. Following my knee surgeries and recovery, I'm continuing to feel great and would recommend Southeast Orthopedic to anyone who's experiencing orthopedic pain.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
If fishing is in your DNA, hop in the boat with Captain Kevin. It's the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Brought to you by Awaken 180 Weight Loss and Royal Pest Services.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
You ready to try your luck tonight?
At Best Bet, always, especially one-card poker.
One card? That's it?
One card. I mean, it's fast action, big excitement, and every hand could be the winner.
Okay, now this is my kind of poker room.
Get in on the action with one-card poker at Best Bet. Great games, great food, and the best poker atmosphere in town. See you at the tables. Visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Who are the CEOs making a real impact in Northeast Florida? I'm Liz Grebe, the events director for the Jacksonville Business Journal, and we are now accepting nominations for this year's Ultimate CEO Awards, where we recognize the top executives who are leading their companies and helping shape our region's future. If you know an outstanding CEO in Baker, Clay, Duval, Flagler, Nassau, Putnam, or St. Johns County, nominate them today. Nominations close July 20th. Visit jbjevents.com for details and help us recognize the leaders moving Northeast Florida forward.
Whiskey Myers. So come on! Live in concert. All right now. Friday, October 2nd, the St. Augustine Amphitheater. With special guest, the Ransom Brothers. Get tickets now at AXS.com.
miss Whiskey Myers Live.
Summer's here, and it's the perfect time to upgrade your backyard with Superior Fence and Rail. Get the fence you've been wanting with 12 months financing and no interest, so you can enjoy more privacy, more security, and more curb appeal without the upfront stress. Make your outdoor space ready for summer. You must have credit approval from our third-party financial institution. Call today or visit SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Everybody's loving the incredible free finance offer at Beard's Diamonds, but you better hurry. Time is running out. Hicken here. You have until 6 p.m. June 30th to get zero interest financing for 5 years. This extraordinary offer will not be extended. Don't wait. Beard's has the engagement rings, the wedding bands, the earrings, the pendants, the bracelets, case after case of exquisite jewelry she wants. You can get the lowest price now and then spread your payments over 5 years with zero interest. Take a $6,000 diamond tennis bracelet. Get Beard's value price, pay zero down, and pay $100 a month for 5 years. In a world of high interest rates, it's too good to be true. But it's happening now through June 30th at Beard's Diamonds. Beard's Diamonds, the only local jeweler at the town center, giving Jacksonville the selection, value, service, and quality you deserve. Big box chain stores can't even come close. So hurry in to take advantage of free financing. Shop local. Shop Beard's Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center.
I'm Jared Justice with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by Southern Oak Insurance. 4-star wide receiver Armani Strong has committed to Florida. The 6-foot, 180-pound wide receiver chose the Gators over Miami, USC, Notre Dame, and Michigan. Florida now ranks 5th in ESPN's team recruiting ranking. Team USA takes on Bosnia on Wednesday. Listen to 1010XL for World Cup updates all day. It's 96 degrees at 3 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
Into Helmets and Heels on a Big Chief Tire Monday. They got the extra mile program going on right now. So every tire purchase at Big Chief Tire now automatically enrolls you in the extra mile program. No apps, no punch cards, no fine print. A set of new tires is just the start at Big Chief. So what you get in this extra mile program, free tire rotations with every visit after tire purchase, $10 off every oil change, every time, no limit, no expiration, automatic enrollment at all 6 Jacksonville area Big Chief locations, and they're all available at the West Side, South Side, Blanding, North Side, Mandarin, Orange Park. We keep Jacks rolling. Yep, so it went final just now. Brazil beating Japan 2-1 in stoppage time. So both games so far have gone to stoppage time as Canada won last night, and a few other games I mentioned earlier. There is a triple header today. When it comes to this, Germany and Paraguay will play at 4:40.
Okay.
Paraguay will play at 4:40, and then the Netherlands and Morocco will play at 9 p.m. tonight. So about an hour and 40 minutes until that next game will kick off. We saw an interesting thing. Did you see any of the golf this morning?
No, I did not.
So the end of it ended up going into a playoff today between Victor Hovland and Scotty Scheffler, obviously. So they finished that off this morning.
Oh, you like Victor, don't you?
I love Victor Hovland. He's my favorite. He hasn't won a PGA Tour event this year.
Okay.
And Scotty hasn't won since January. So both of them are really thirsty for a win at this point in time. They had an 80-minute storm delay yesterday. Around both, I think we're at like the 10th hole, somewhere around there. Coming out of the delay, Javi ended up birdieing back-to-back to tie things up. Then the two of them kind of traded spots back and forth with getting pars on back-to-back to remain to force the playoff this morning. Hovland ended up, they hit it, both great shots right away on this playoff. Hovland's
hit. What was the playoff? Was it one hole?
Yeah,
okay,
it seemed like it. So that's what Dan was talking about it this morning, and I think he was like, I don't know if they're going to go back and play. He even kind of sounded like they weren't totally sure what they were going to do if one of them didn't win this hole, but I'm not totally sure because when I woke up, the playoff was starting right at that point in time. But I heard Dan breaking it down, and it was hilarious. If you haven't listened, go back because it was really funny. But so they both hit great shots. And Hovland was about 7 feet away from the hole where it landed, and Scheffler's was only 28 inches away from the hole.
Whoa.
So Hovland obviously gets to go for his putt first. Ends up making the 7-foot putt.
Wow.
And then Scheffler misses his
No
28-inch attempt.
Oh,
yeah. And so
Scotty.
Hovland wins his first PGA Tour title of the year. And it was cool, too, because where the tournament was being played was right near where the Norwegians soccer where they're going to be playing. So there was already a lot of people from Norway there, and
Doing
obviously
the
Victor, they're doing the rowing at the rowing at the thing, and like Victor Hovland even sat down with them, and they were all doing like
Doing the row?
row together. It was kind of a cool moment. You could tell he was like, it was a lot louder than I'm used to it being with that, because they were all like Victor and like doing like the whole like clap thing. It was a cool moment for Victor Hovland, especially if you're a fan of him. But it was a little torn because it was like USA versus Norway, and everyone was like, "Oh, you want Scheffler in the USA to win?" But I love Victor Hovland.
Victor's been around for a while. It's all good.
And I had a friend who had money on Victor winning too. So yesterday he was like super stressed throughout the day. Then it goes to a playoff, and he had to wait overnight again to see if he wins money.
Wow.
So he ended up winning this morning. So double win for that. But now let's get to Taylor's Tangent.
Now, Taylor's Tangent, served up by Chick-fil-A on 1010XL.
I wanted to loop back around. You were talking about the devastating story of Chris Johnson, but I feel like you always want to remember the people for their best too, and that's something that unfortunately for Jacksonville fans, it was with the Tennessee Titans when he had a lot of his best years. Every single year that he played for Tennessee, he had over 1,000 yards, and he had the one year where it was 2,006 yards and 14 rushing touchdowns this year. But the crazy thing, someone posted this early, and so most yards from scrimmage in a single season in NFL history, and Chris Johnson still holds the record with that, with 2,509 yards, and that was obviously that 2009 season where he had the 14 rushing touchdowns, and he also had 2 receiving touchdowns that year. And it was just an incredible year. When you go through his rookie season, he had 1,228 yards and 9 touchdowns as a rookie in the NFL, over 2,000 that next year, and then 1,300, 1,047, 1,200, 1,077, every one of the 9 touchdowns, 14, 11, 4, 6, and 6. And then he made his way to the Jets, played one season for them where he had 663 yards, a touchdown, and then Arizona where he had 814 and 3, finished his career out there in Arizona. But I always want to point to that side of things, because when you talk about the sad stuff, you always want to remember why we talk about a person like Chris Johnson the way we do. And we talk about the speed. I mean, when you talk about how fast this guy is and how dynamic of a running back he was, in that sense, he sticks out for that. But being able to hold that record still, nobody's been able to break it since 2009. The guys behind that, the next closest is Marshall Faulk. He has 2,429 in 1999. Christian McCaffrey was close. He had 2,392 in 2019. The interesting thing is the 3 top are 2009, 1999, and 2019.
Oh, wow.
So it's kind of like broken up in that way. Tiki Barber is 4th, though, with 2,390. In 2005, LaDainian Tomlinson, we know, is landing on this list. 2,370 in 2003. Barry Sanders with 2,358 in 1997. Steven Jackson in 2006 for the St. Louis Rams. 2,334. LaDainian Tomlinson again, 2,323. Marcus Allen, and then Adrian Peterson. So a list of a lot of good running backs that Chris Johnson still sits at the top of.
No doubt. I mean, listen, that guy, 4.2, 440 at the combine. You give him an inch, forget it. He's gone. He was very special, especially when he was with Tennessee. He had a decent, okay year with the Jets. The Arizona years, I don't know. I mean, he was hurt a lot, didn't play a lot. But, man, for his 6 years with the Tennessee Titans, he had one heck of a run. I mean, the yards per carry always, he had a couple years that are 1 year 3.9 and 4.0. Other than that, high 4s, mid 4s, even 5.3 in the or 5.6 in the 2009 year where he was Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. So, yeah.
And by the way, we've added a game.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. You mentioned, I love, it's great. I don't know how people out there, when you hear names, I haven't thought of Marshall Faulk in forever. And then you say his name, I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Gosh, that guy was good. Holy cow, was he just absolutely incredible. I mean, even like the Colts.
Yeah.
When he was with Peyton, when they made that trade, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Obviously, Edge was incredible, so you can't say Edgerrin James wasn't a good move.
Yeah.
But Marshall Faulk, man, was he absolutely special.
Yeah.
That guy, I remember him in college, San Diego State. You're like, holy, this kid is unbelievable. And, man, it's fun to hear those names. And then you go back and you like vision them. You can see them. Like you see Chris Johnson taking off on an 80-yarder. Bye. It's just see you later. You're not even going to catch me. So, man, just great memories.
For sure. Marshall Faulk with his little headband I remember the headband all the time, the Colts one. That's so ingrained in my head. But when you talk about that year, he's another one, 9 out of his first 10 years. He was over 1,000 yards. But in 2000, he had 18 rushing touchdowns, which we talked about Jonathan Taylor leading the way this year with that when it comes to it. But he also had an additional 8 receiving touchdowns that year.
Yeah, he was a threat in that pass game, boy. You did not want to miss a tackle on a screen to Marshall Faulk.
Yes, definitely not.
He was gone.
All right, I have some free lunch to give away.
All right.
So give us a call at 641-1010. Let's say caller number 2. You get free lunch for 2 to Chick-fil-A, but also make sure you get that peach milkshake while you are there. It's just here for the summertime, and it's made with real peaches and that ice cream from Chick-fil-A, one of the best shakes that I've had and probably one of my favorite shakes because it's just very summertime, that peach, sweet, nice flavor that you want for the summer. So give us a call and you get free lunch, but make sure you get that shake with it. And we'll continue on Jaguars Talk on the other side right here on Helmets and Heels.
1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
You have a problem with authority.
The Drill.
You believe that you are special.
Mornings.
But somehow the rules do not apply to you.
On 1010XL.
Obviously, you are mistaken.
This World Cup soccer update is laced up by Valvoline Instant Oil Changes and Houston's Meats.
Westwood One Sports presents this World Soccer Update. Day 2 of the knockout stage. Brazil just stunned Japan in Houston in the 96th minute with a goal. They are wrapping up stoppage time. It is 2-1 Japan. Gabriel Martinelli scoring what is likely going to be the game winner. Japan actually had a 1-0 lead at halftime. Brazil's Casemiro tied it in the 56th minute, and then Martinelli in the 96th minute, putting Brazil ahead 2-1 as they come to the very end of stoppage time. Winner gets the winner of tomorrow's match between Ivory Coast and Norway. Up next in Boston, 4:30 Eastern, it'll be Germany and Paraguay. Germany, 10 goals in the knockout round, tied for the most with the Netherlands and France. And Netherlands part of the nightcap against Morocco at 9 Eastern. With this 2026 World Soccer Update, I'm Brad Heller, Westwood One Sports.
For adults with Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms, every choice matters. Tremfya offers self-injection or intravenous infusion from the start. Tremfya is administered as injections under the skin or infusions through a vein every 4 weeks, followed by injections under the skin every 4 or 8 weeks. If your doctor decides that you can self-inject Tremfya, proper training is required. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active Crohn's disease and adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions, increased risk of infections or lower ability to fight them, and liver problems may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or need a vaccine. Explore what's possible. Ask your doctor about Tremfya today. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more, or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Hey guys, Taylor Dahl here of Helmets and Heels. It's the little things like a peach milkshake on a warm day that makes summer sweet. And now you can head to your local Chick-fil-A and enjoy a favorite summer treat again. Hand spun the old-fashioned way, this refreshing milkshake features Chick-fil-A ice cream and peaches. It's the perfect cold treat to enjoy outside on a warm day or with friends and family after dinner. And it's here for just a limited time. So swing by your local Chick-fil-A and treat yourself today.
The birth of a child is a time of joy, but when complications during delivery lead to injury or death,
families are left with lifelong problems. If you believe a medical mistake contributed to a birth injury, protect yourself and your family by understanding your legal options. Founded in Jacksonville, Edwards & Ragatz helps families evaluate medical negligence claims. No fees unless you recover damages. Call 904-INJURED or visit 904injured.com.
Edwards & Ragatz, offices Jacksonville.
It's a Helmets and Heels Big Chief Tire Monday.
Jack C. Wilson Roofing Company is hiring for an estimator. Are you a motivated, customer-focused professional who enjoys working with people and doing things the right way? We want to hear from you. Send your resume to JCW Roof at jcwroof.com or call 904-396-1546. Family owned and operated since 1946. Jack C. Wilson Roofing Company, the first name in Jacksonville roofing.
Listening that fits your schedule perfectly.
Absolutely brilliant.
Go on demand.
Ad-free shows after the live shows end.
How about that? Channeled by
Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. Search where you find podcasts.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball at the newly renovated ViStar Ballpark is your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game and kids around the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
Hey, Hicken here, folks. It's happening. It is happening. We're going fairway, lush, and green at the Hicken household for, topdressing.com. Treated my yard, and I'm telling you guys, another company cannot do what they do. They have the custom equipment, that secret mix. You can't buy it in the store. Heck, it takes a year to make. With topdressing.com, you're amending your soil, and it's thriving. Make your neighbors jealous. Get to topdressing.com today or call 888-850-1850 for your free estimate.
Hacker here, and I've had a lot of conversations with buddies of mine in recent weeks and months about, this weight loss deal or this shot they're taking or this pill that suppresses their appetite. And I stop and think, man, I was lucky to find Awaken 180 weight loss. No shots, no appetite suppressants, no pills that they give you and say, all right, we'll talk to you in 2 months. You get real coaching. You get real knowledge. You get a real plan to lose real weight. And more importantly, keep that weight off. Awaken 180 Weight Loss is the best program I've ever been on. I lost over 100 pounds. It gave me my life back. If it's time for you to get your life back, go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. No shots, no medication, just knowledge. And as we all know, guys, knowledge is power. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
I know, and you know that we ready. Let's go while I roll.
If you missed it, Brazil just beat Japan 2-1 in some stoppage time there. So it's the second game. Canada won last night. And then now we have Brazil. And so we've got a couple more games today that we'll be looking forward to. Obviously, the USA will be playing Bosnia on Wednesday. We will be having Hacker will be out at Twin Peaks doing his show live for a live remote / watch party at Twin Peaks. So if you're looking for somewhere to watch the game on Wednesday, he will be live from 8 to 10, which is actually right when the game is starting. So perfect timing for that. You said you watched a lot of soccer this weekend.
I did, yeah. Actually, Christina and I kind of, not like sat there. Mm-hmm. Well, we did a little bit, sat there and watched, but yeah, we had it on a good part of the weekend. I mean, listen, I love watching. They were just watching the Brazilian fans. They're showing the Brazilian fans going nuts after that goal. Like, those emotions are so cool. I mean, people are crying that they won. I think that's so cool. But, look, I mean, soccer, it's very exciting when it's sudden death. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt. When it's not, and maybe that was the problem on the weekend, because I found myself like, all right, when they're not scoring and just kicking back, it gets boring a little bit. I'm sorry. I don't mean to offend anybody out there. I don't mean to hurt your feelings at all. But it does. It's not now when it's like down to the wire, and you got to win.
You
and
know it's only a couple minutes, and you know you have to win. I think that adds to it. Now, obviously, being the knockout round, you lose and you're out, so that adds some extra intensity to it. I was out at the beaches, and I went by Lynch's, and it just so happened to be right when England was playing Panama, and it was insane in there. There was probably 200 England fans in there, and they were doing all their chants, and it was all in sync, and they're jumping around, and England ended up winning 2-0. So those are when you're in an environment like that, it does make you a little bit more excited because you're watching everybody else's reaction, and they're freaking out, and every kick they're oohing and eyeing, and you're like, oh, okay. It's like me watching baseball, and I know not everybody's like that with baseball, so I get it.
No, listen, I watched a good bit of the England game, and was it Henry Kane?
Yeah.
Henry Kane?
Harry Kane.
Harry Kane. What a great name.
I know.
It's like a superhero name. It's Harry Kane. But he's unbelievable. I tell you, the guy that always has to run after when the ball goes to the goalie and they just sprint at the goalie.
Yeah.
They sprint a long way.
I know.
And then they just kind of, okay, he passes it off. No big deal.
It was funny. I told you I met some friends, and they were listeners of the show, and the one guy was talking about, he was like, Tommy was kind of right when he was talking about how big the field is. Like, it is really big. And
so long.
It's so long.
Yeah, it's like, what did we say? It was 130 by 75.
Yeah, that's huge.
So the width is like 25 more yards than the football field. Yeah.
I saw there was a couple games that came down to, I want to say it was the Ghana game where it was an offsides, and the guy was offsides by like
a tiny bit.
So,
I know.
And I'm like, can you imagine that?
No.
I mean, we talk about in the NFL how the tiny, when we're talking about on the sideline, a sideline catch, they're zooming in to see if there's green in between there. But that was crazy. You lost a game because of your toe.
I almost feel like that's too tacky.
Very
like
tic-tacky.
It's just a toe.
Yeah.
I mean, so in hockey.
Also, that just means he's faster than you.
Yeah, he just got off quicker. But in hockey, the offsides, is it when it passes the blue line or hits the blue line? I don't know the answer.
What? The puck?
When it's off, the puck.
Yeah. So it's very close to. It is like the puck
player.
Doesn't have to be completely over the blue line.
Yeah.
And the puck's flying too. So that one's it's close for them, and that's when you give credit to the refs and umps and all those guys. When you see them make calls and they're that close, even with the ABS system right now, sometimes they'll challenge and they'll show it, and it'll be like the ball barely touches the strike zone, but he called it a strike, and your man like that's why you guys get paid to do this because you're really good at your job. But I wanted to get into. I saw the article that it gets put out every year. It's Bill Barnwell, and he does the rankings for the running back, wide receiver, and tight end groups for each season. He always goes through and ranks the team from best to worst of those groups. And so a few little indicators, because he's very specific about the way that he ranks them. So this is only about the 2026 on-field performance. So he says each player's contract and future outlook do not matter, simply focused on what each player might project to do over the full 2026 season. Injuries do count for him. It's possible to, so if there's a certain wide receiver, a tight end or whatever that struggle with injuries, a Kittle maybe in that example when you're having somebody, a Christian McCaffrey who for years struggled with that, he does kind of knock them down a little bit if you've had injury prone in that. Wide receivers are weighted more heavily than running backs or tight ends in this. NFL teams have clearly emphasized wide receivers over both tight ends and running backs when it comes to paying them. And so we've seen that recently. That's something he does account in this. And the focus is on elite players and a team's top 5 contributors is how he goes to break this down. So we'll just start at the top of the list just to see that. And then I wanted to get into the AFC South specifically a little bit to how he thinks about those. So when it comes to some of these, when I actually wanted to real quick before I get into one this year, I was looking at last year's, and it was interesting because this kind of shows how quickly, whether it's injury that does happen within the season or just kind of how a team does they take a step back, and there's a lot of reasons for this. But last year he had the Philadelphia Eagles as number 1 on his list, and he had, it was the Bengals he had beyond that. And so when you look at when you look at some of those that led his list last year, they ended up having some issues when it came to being able to be productive this season. The Bengals, you understand, they lose Joe Burrow. The Ravens lose Lamar. The Chiefs lose Patrick Mahomes. So that starts to affect certain things. But I wanted to go through some of this list when it comes to it. I'll look at the bottom because it's interesting to see this. So the worst, if you were to guess, what the Cleveland Browns would probably be on your list as one of those worst groups.
Let's see. The The back's pretty good.
Yeah, Quinshon Judkins.
Yeah, Judkins is good.
They have the young guy, Casey Concepcion, Denzel Boston are their two guys.
Young.
So it's kind of, you're hoping. Harold Fannin had a decent season last year, but he's still.
Njoku's gone, right? The tight end's no longer there.
Yeah.
Yep.
So at their bottom, he has Dolphins, Giants, and Browns as the three worst in the NFL. Just behind that, which is interesting, he has the Buffalo Bills. They add DJ Moore, so that's interesting to me because James Cook and DJ Moore, I feel like,
and the tight ends are good.
Yeah, so it is kind of interesting when he goes through. He says the Bills can count on a legitimately great back, James Cook, whose visions, tackle breaking, and ability to create explosive plays by making players miss. But he. When making players miss and running away from defenders. The only downside with Cook comes with fumbles. He had 6 last season, which I did not realize that. Added a 7th in the postseason, lost to the Broncos. Even using his career average rate, Cook has fumbled once every 81 touches. So he's pretty much saying he's a really good back, but he has some issues keeping on to the ball. And so even after the addition of DJ Moore, while some of the issues surrounding the decision to acquire Moore have to do with factors such as the trade value, et cetera, he just doesn't feel like that's enough to totally put that up. You add him with Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, who's there. Dalton Kincaid is the tight end, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, Keon, we don't know. I mean, they say that they're looking forward to see what he can do. He hasn't done anything yet. I mean, go ask the Jaguar defenders what they think about Shakir. I mean, he caught 10 for 10 in the playoff game. So I
like Shakir.
Decent.
He's one of the guys. He's really good after contact. That's one of the things. He's a yak guy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't drop the ball. That's one of the things. If you're gonna, I feel like if you're gonna put some criticism on James Cook for fumbling, then you got to give some respect for the wide receivers that are really good with the ball. But I want to jump to the top, see some of these guys at the top. The Detroit Lions, he has the top. I mean, I think most people, when you talk about what they have there, Amon-Ra, one of the best wide receivers in the league. You have Jahmyr Gibbs. Even with losing David Montgomery, I think that they believe that Jahmyr Gibbs can just kind of take that full role over Sam Laporta. He's one of the better tight ends in the league. So I just think when you talk about all around those guys, it's hard to argue that they're not. And you add Jameson Williams to that list too, and it's just a pretty solid group.
Absolutely. And then on top of that, I know that they're not talking about quarterbacks in this list. You throw in Jared Goff into that mix. Yeah. And by the way, Penei Sewell will play left tackle now.
Yeah. They're moving him. Yeah. Which he'll be fine. He's so
going to
good.
be great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fantastic.
He'll be just fine. The Rams are number 2 on this list, and then we've got the Bengals at number 3 on this list, and the Falcons at 4. That one's really interesting to me. But Bijan Robinson's one of the best running backs, and probably will be top 1, 2, 3 in the league in these coming years. I'm a big fan of Drake London. Kyle Pitts just got paid, so you're expecting a lot out of him. He kind of had that full breakout season the last 2, but mainly last year. So that one's interesting. And then the San Francisco 49ers behind that. But I wanted to take a look at when it comes to the AFC South, so where they have the Jaguars ranked on this list. And let me see where that number is. I lost it.
18, 16, somewhere around there.
So, yeah, they have them at 18. So, last year they were ranked 16th. So, he has them. I'm guessing Etienne is going to be some of that. But you add Jacoby. And so, it's interesting to me because you added Jacoby preseason. Then you also add 2 tight ends in the draft who you're expecting to make this better. But they're going to be talking about that loss of Etienne and kind of the unexpectedness of or the unknown of what that running back room
Well, I thought one thing he said that was interesting. He said about Jacoby Myers was white hot, but then cooled off.
Which we talked about that a little last week.
We did. No, and what he said was his rate stats were right in line where they had been for most of his time with the Pats and the Raiders.
Okay.
So he's got to catch a little heat early on to get going.
Or maybe you want a little more consistency from him.
Yeah.
You know, you come in, you have those flashes of really good, and are you able to keep that stabilized throughout the season? And maybe that's part of the question, because I do feel like that's been a little bit of a tale of what his career was. When you look at last year, for example, he was talk about just from the time he got to Jacksonville, it was pretty steady. I feel like almost the whole time, in my opinion, it was pretty steady. 40, this is just his yardage, receiving yards, 41, 64, 50, 90, 39, 71, 45, 39, 44. And then he had only 12 in the playoffs.
Right.
But he had 3 touchdowns against Arizona, Tennessee, and Indy, and those were his 3 touchdowns in Jacksonville, and those were towards the beginning of him getting here.
Yeah, and then, look, Parker finished strong. He had 115 yards, I think, for the last 4 games. So, so if you said Parker, Brenton, and Tootin, where would you rate? I mean, you don't know about Tootin.
Yeah.
You
Parker, I feel like I'd probably, as in yardage or
no, I mean as far as range, like because he's adding Brian Thomas Jr. But you can it's running back, tight end. So pick a receiver, pick a running back.
So he did say they're 5. Their 5. The way he worded is that they'll take their 5 top guys, and so for some teams that may be 2 running backs if they utilize their running backs in that way. So those are how he's wording it is when it's going to be 2 in. And he throws Travis Hunter in that. So 2 in, Parker, Strange, Hunter, and then who's that 5th? Yeah, the question is who's that other guy that's the main contributor? Jacoby, I guess, would be after that, but or is it going to be one of the other tight ends? That's what's going to be interesting with this year. It is going to be
interesting.
I want to continue this conversation and get to the rest of the AFC South, see where they land, because I know you have the Houston Texans are the big conversational point when it comes to the AFC South, and if you can beat them again this year in the division and what that looks like. So we'll continue this talk on the other side right here on Helmets and Heels.
Celebrate your freedom. With 1010XL.
When your home or business deserves more than ordinary glass, you trust the experts. Capital Glass and Shower Doors has been elevating spaces for over 40 years with precision, craftsmanship, and clean, modern design. From sleek frameless shower enclosures to elegant glass railings, wine cabinets, and any custom glass that makes a statement, Capital Glass delivers unmatched quality, service, and attention to detail. Your vision, their expertise. Capital Glass and Shower Doors at capcoglass.com.
Helmets and Heels.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday. The local Jacksonville shop for fair prices and service you can trust.
Instant Keys is turning 25. A quarter century of saving the day when your keys mysteriously vanish.
Seriously, it was just in my pocket.
Or when that remote fob decides to quit working.
The dealership is such a hassle.
For 25 years, Instant Keys has been the go-to locksmith service for car keys, house keys, transponders, re-keys, and even high-tech smart locks. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you for honest, professional locksmith service. Use Instant Keys.
Frank Frangie here. I've been telling you about Stanley Pools for years. But you know my favorite thing about this family-owned company? They take such good care of my pool. All I have to do is relax and enjoy it. Stanley Pools has been the best in the business since 1988, and their weekly maintenance makes owning a pool effortless. You can trust Stanley Pools to build your pool or upgrade it. They've done both for me. Call 904-269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
America's turning 250, and Superior Fireworks is ready for the biggest 4th of July in a generation. Beat the rush and save during their 4th of July early sale. Today only. Shop early for the best prices, selection, and shopping experience before huge last-minute crowds arrive. Superior Fireworks, the locally owned fireworks superstore, right on Blanding Boulevard in Orange Park and at superiorfireworks.com/radio.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a social media manager.
Did you just post our Q4 earnings to your personal social media?
Oh yeah, used the trending audio and everything.
That's confidential financial data.
Relax. It only went a little viral.
The SEC just commented with the eyeball watching emoji.
This is the job for sponsored jobs. This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
Hurricane season is here, and now is the time to make sure your property is ready. Weak, damaged, or overgrown trees can become a serious hazard when storms move in. Trust the experts at Lucas Tree Service with over 45 years of experience for professional tree trimming, removal, and storm preparation. Don't wait until a storm is on its way. Schedule your tree assessment today at lucastreeservice.com.
Bueller. Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, I haven't seen you in a while, pal. Where have you been?
Out on the town, every night.
Way to go, Tiger.
Well, it's a bit of a mystery, Jason. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm getting all these Visa gift cards in the mail. I'm spending them as fast as I can, but...
Wait, you're getting random gift cards in the mail?
$25, $100. I'm buying drinks, I'm buying dinner. I don't think I'm cut out to be a social butterfly, Jason.
Pal, those are from our Bueller Air and Plumbing referral program.
They are?
Yeah. If you recommend Bueller Air and Plumbing to a friend or family member and they book us for a service call, we send you a $25 Visa gift card as a thank you. And if we install a new system, we send a $100 gift card.
So if I take a girl out and tell her about Bueller, I might get enough to take another girl out and tell her about Bueller?
I mean, it's not the worst idea you've had.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
Golden moment for today is shout out to Foye Oluokun. We talked about him quite a bit in the first half of this show, Tommy, of just how good he is, and he does sit up there with a lot of the linebackers. And you specifically went through the middle linebackers, guys that play similar role to Foye Oluokun on different teams. Various teams around the NFL, some of them on really good defenses, some of them on not as good defenses, but he sits right atop of a lot of the best that we talk about really highly on a week-to-week basis during the football season.
A lot of tackles for a team that stops the run, so he's making them at the line of scrimmage or near it. 5 tackles for loss means he attacks, and then the 11 passes defense, no one pick means he can cover pretty darn well.
Yep.
Well, I've said it before. Like I think he can blitz well. I really do, man. Because the great blitzers, they don't have to time it up because they have the speed to wait.
Yeah.
And all they have to do is wait for the lineman to look away from them just for a second,
split second,
because they feel like you're not coming. I'm not going to count you. I can go to the next thing, whatever that is, left or right. And if you wait just a minute. Boom, and then you go and you got closing speed. It's tough to recover. So I'd like to see more of that out of him. But when you look
maybe we will with Lloyd not here, but you want to see Gardeck doing more of that too when it comes to
I want to
blitzing?
see Gardeck rush the passer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Dennis Gardeck, he'd be the perfect Sam if he was a little bit taller, but who cares? The guy's an animal, full speed or nothing. Can play the run, can cover. You see him in the, when they're working him, in the drive, he's really fluid.
Yeah.
He can really move. He's fluid. He's physical. And he can blitz. His stats show when given the opportunity, he can get after the quarterback. So I think he can replace the pass rushing side of Devin Lloyd's game. And then the question is, can Ventrell / Combs / whoever handle the run and the coverage aspect of his game?
Definitely going to be one of the position groups we will watch very closely once training camp comes, because one of the bigger questions here. But I wanted to continue on. We were talking about Barnwell's rankings he has when it comes to wide receiver, running back, tight ends so he ranks each team with those groupings. In the NFL, he has the Jaguars at number 18. So it's going to be interesting to see the AFC South. He has the Houston Texans at 24 after being 14th in 2025 and number 4 in 2024. So they went from 4 to 14 to 24 in a few years.
How they do that.
Tank Dell is going to be, I think, one of the biggest question marks. He had been on the field. It looks like he's going to be able to practice and be ready to go at some point during training camp. But how ready is he going to be? And I do think that's a bigger thing. If not, you are relying. Nico Collins is great. We know that. He's one of the better wide receivers in the league. But can Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll in year 2 make a step up? So they have a couple questions there. David Montgomery coming there after, unfortunate Joe Mixon was a really good running back in the NFL for a while. That ended up the injury didn't really work too well for him this last season, so you didn't even really get to see that. So they kind of went other ways with the Chubb and tried to figure things out through that, and it just didn't quite work for them last year.
And that Woody Marks guy's a nice change of pace back. So Montgomery will pound, and he'll come in on the change of pace.
And then Dalton Schultz, who we talked about last week.
He's a really good tight end.
With that. So interesting at 24th, but he says the Texans start with a legitimate number 1 wide receiver in Nico Collins, although 2025 was a slight downturn. He fell from 3rd in yards per route run to 14th. Collins is still a top 10 receiver for me, but injuries have cost him. So if you remember at the top of this, I said he does put in injuries into some of his things.
Right.
So he says David Montgomery will be an upgrade on the running backs for the Texans that the Texans ran out in 2025 and exceeded expectations last time he switched teams and joined the Lions, but he'd still be a little nervous about taking a back who excelled in one of the best offenses in football. My argument with that would be like he also excelled in one of the worst offenses in football in Chicago.
Yeah, he's a hammer. He's a hammer.
Yeah.
He can pound it. So, they missed the running game last year. Now, granted, Woody Marks and Chubb, they held their own.
Yeah.
Look, at the end of the day, like any other team, it's going to come down to their quarterback and whether he can get better.
Yeah. I think they still had, it was like bottom 10 rushing yards or something like that. They were not able
they weren't good
to run the ball very well. Just one spot behind them, the Tennessee Titans. They're at 25th on this list. Yeah. After being 19th in 2024, 32nd last year, so dead last in the NFL when it comes to these wide receiver, running back, tight end rankings, and coming in at 25th this year. They talk about 2 new starters alongside Calvin Ridley. They added when they added to some of that, you're kind of counting on a Alec Iomanner and a Chim Dike. We saw some of those things. Gunnar Helm, Tony Pollard. So some names on there interesting to me because if you were to just read the list of the Houston Texans weapons next to the Tennessee Titans weapons, I would have Houston Texans weapons
way over.
Yeah,
not even close. Yeah, I'm surprised that they're even. How they can be one less is beyond me.
Cardinal Tate, they're adding, but it's to me, I'm like, you're counting on a rookie, an old Calvin Ridley who's been fine, but not that
Wandale's a
great.
good player. Robinson, the wide receiver they got from the Giants.
Yeah, Wandale and maybe that.
He fit in a nice system with Malik Neighbors helping him out, being the main guy, and then can he do that there? We'll see.
So that one will be interesting. Like I said, I would have a bigger gap between the two of those teams personally. But the highest rated of the AFC South that they have on here is the Indianapolis Colts coming in at 14th, who were 22nd in 2024, 16th last year, and 14th this year. They traded Michael Pittman Jr. and kept, obviously, and paid Alec Pierce a good amount of money this offseason. So Jonathan Taylor being the running back he is, you automatically have a guy who had the most combined touchdowns in the NFL last year when it came to weapons in general. So that's probably a big skew in some of that. And I think the people are going to go back to what they did those first 8 games and they're going to say, and the quarterbacks aren't technically included in this, but they're going to say this team did not punt for about 7 or 8 weeks into the NFL season until their quarterback went down.
Well, I mean, look, Tyler Warren, I think he's a future star in the making.
Warren and Taylor, I think, definitely shift that group super high.
Absolutely. Yeah. And Jonathan Taylor's special. You can't say he's not. I mean, he's one of those special backs in the National Football League. Look, Alec Pierce, he always kicks our ass. Yeah. I mean, at least he has in the past, it seems, on deep throws. Made a living out of those things, made a great contract. I'm surprised they're that high, I guess.
It's kind of weird. It's 14 for they're the 14th. The Colts come in at 14. The Jags are 18th. The Texans are 24th, and then the Tennessee Titans are 25th. It does seem like a little bit of a weird order and gap between different teams who I would have a little bit closer.
All right, so Nico Collins, Alec Pierce. You take Nico, right?
Yeah.
Schultz and Tyler Warren. I mean, that's good one-on-one. I think Tyler Warren, but he's young. but Schultz, like 7 touchdowns.
You'd probably lean Warren, and you'd lean Taylor.
What's that?
You'd lean Jonathan Taylor.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And you'd lean, probably a lot of people are leaning Warren just because of the young aspect of that. Yeah. So maybe that's
but not
what shifts.
12 spots.
Not that far of a gap. Yeah, after one season, no way. All right, we're going to wrap things up on the other side and say hello to the Frangie Show that's coming up next right here on 1010XL.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
With 50 years of fabrication expertise and towing products, the family at Cannons of Jacksonville can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Hey, I know how awful it is to get injured out there, but never due to someone else's negligence like many of you. Tom McManus here. If this speaks to you directly, you got to check out Morgan & Morgan. They're the largest personal injury law firm in the nation because they win. That's all they do is win. They win, they grow, they get bigger. That's how it goes. $30 billion recovered is what I'm talking about. And guess what? They don't get a single penny unless you do. Yeah, a proven track record with backup. That's hard to find these days, but not with Morgan & Morgan. For the people, that's right. Get injured due to someone's neglect. Get paid. Dial Pound Law and Sell or check out forthepeople.com.
Rotator cuff injuries are common among athletes and those who have physically demanding careers. Don't let this injury keep you away from the sport you love. Dr. George Bari here, and the first thing you need to do with a serious shoulder injury is to diagnose where the damage is and how significant it is. Rotator cuff tears are either acute tears sustained during an injury or accident, or degenerative tears. If you're interested in learning more about rotator cuff repair and how our expert team of orthopedic surgeons can help you, call Bari Orthopedics today or visit bariorthopedics.com.
It's a Big Chief Tire Monday on Helmets and Heels.
Hacker here, and I've had a lot of conversations with buddies of mine in recent weeks and months about, this weight loss deal or this shot they're taking or this pill that suppresses their appetite. And I stop and think, man, I was lucky to find Awaken 180 weight loss. No shots, no appetite suppressants, no pills that they give you and say, all right, we'll talk to you in 2 months. You get real coaching. You get real knowledge. You get a real plan to lose real weight. And more importantly, keep that weight off. Awaken 180 Weight Loss is the best program I've ever been on. I lost over 100 pounds. It gave me my life back. If it's time for you to get your life back, go to awaken180weightloss.com. That's awaken180weightloss.com, or call 844-346-1800. No shots, no medication, just knowledge. And as we all know, guys, knowledge is power. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
Lauren Brooks here. If you're like most of us at 1010XL, you have a list of things you want to get done before football season begins. Make an appointment today to check out Closets by Design's new showroom on Phillips Highway, especially the awesome man cave with a full bar. Closets by Design can customize the perfect entertainment space for you to gather for game days. Call 904-878-9393 to schedule your free in-home design consultation and get 40% off plus an additional 15% off and free installation, or visit closetsbydesign.com.
This is Victor Patel, CEO of North Florida Medical Center. Have you been in an auto accident? Are you feeling pain or stiffness? Our board-certified team has over 15 years experience helping patients recover through chiropractic care, physical therapy, pain management, primary care, and neurology. Even minor injuries can cause long-term problems if left untreated. Schedule your free consultation today at nfmcjax.com. North Florida Medical Center, bringing the care back to healthcare.
Zero Res wants to help you clean your home. Hicken here, big summer savings. Take 25% off all services except air duct cleaning. $5.99 per system for air duct cleaning. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and ask for the 1010XL special.
When you're a little kid on the playground, they tell you don't hit back. Well, the courtroom isn't a playground. And if you've suffered an injury or death in your family, I'm here to tell you it's okay to hit back and fight to make them pay. I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and at Hastings Injury Law, we understand all the pain and emotion that comes with being wrong. And we've dedicated our lives to making things right for people like you. So if you get hit back with Hastings Injury Law. Offices, Jacksonville.
At the Y, there's no place like this place. More than just a gym, the YMCA is a community where support, connection, and your well-being come first. And now, getting started is easier than ever with Your Rate, an income-based, affordable membership designed to fit your lifestyle and your budget so you can focus on what really matters, feeling better, moving more, and connecting with others. Join today and discover a place where you truly belong. Learn more about Your Rate at fcymca.org.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's team time, Farah doesn't flinch.
Winding things down here on Helmets and Heels. Tom McManus is here. Taylor Dahl here. RJ Saunders. Lauren Brooks on vacation, staycation. She will be back on Thursday.
She's been listening the whole time.
Oh, I'm sure she has. She has the station on all the time. Lauren, hope you're having fun. We were talking about this off air a little bit, Tommy, but the Terrion Arnold stuff is just a little wild right now. But a Florida judge found probable cause for Lions cornerback Terrion Arnold to face charges of armed robbery and kidnapping, but denied the prosecutor's motion that he be held without bond on Monday. And the state asked the judge to require Arnold to wear a GPS tracking device, but his attorneys argued that he would not be able to play football with such device. So he does not have to wear any sort of ankle bracelet. He can go practice and do training camp and all of that until it's time to go to the court case. But that's going to be
$1 million bond.
$1 million
I think you got to put up 10% for that, I think. Don't you? Isn't that how it
think
works?
it is, yeah.
So he's got $100K.
Yeah, he's fine.
So, I mean, I'd like to, when you hear these stories, like, you'd like to talk to the guy.
Yeah.
Like, I could just
Like,
imagine
I would have been
being
like, what are you
Dan
thinking?
Campbell and be like,
Hire somebody if
Darian,
anything.
seriously, like, what? Are you a gangster? You
what are we
football?
doing?
Like, what are you doing, man? Like,
We're trying to win a championship here. What are you trying to do?
You steal my stuff, I want it back.
Yeah.
I have no problem going to get how you go and get it. You might want to figure that out. And look, you got friends. I'll tell you this. My friends who are just, normal dudes.
Not house robbers.
Yeah, but they if we went out, they would never let me get involved in any trouble at all. They literally would get, because they know how I am, and they'd get in front of me like, you're not doing anything. Yeah. Just let it get handled.
This, settle down.
You got enough to worry about. You don't need this trouble. So you do have friends. If I called my friends, now granted, I have friends, and then I have friends that would do some dirty work if you had them to. They're good people to have around, trust me. You could call them and be like, yo, man, I think this guy stole my stuff. I know he's got it. Can you go, see if maybe we can get it back? That kind of, for you to orchestrate, and then FaceTime.
FaceTime, that's how dumb are you?
You can't be that. You're not a gangster. Quit acting like you're going to just go get it back, like in the movies.
Yeah.
OJ tried that in Vegas. Remember what happened to him? Yeah, he got busted and went to prison for that. So you can't do it that way. Yeah. But I don't know.
And then also, to your point, when it comes to the football side of things, the Lions are in this window right now, and they need you. You're one of the better cornerbacks.
Absolutely.
You're young. The Lions, the defense, everybody's been beaten up at times, and I know it's things are more important, but that has to be the conversation that Dan Campbell and coaching staff is look, whatever all of this extra stuff is, let's put it aside because we're in this, you could win a Super Bowl.
Or hey, next time come to me. I got some underground dudes that'll go get it. Don't worry about it. You got nothing to worry about. Just come to me next time.
Yeah, it was going back to, because which I've shared the story on here a few times, but back in my mid-20s, the guy I dated was very abusive, and when people started finding that out, the amount of people that were like, do you need me to make a phone call?
Yeah, right.
I've got this if you need this. And I'm like, so people have their people.
Right.
And you're Terrion Arnold. I feel like you could hire somebody if you really need
look, when you're in that situation, in that, you really do got to be careful.
Yeah.
We've heard the stories around here. Remember pot roast, right? Just going to break up a fight. Guy stabs him with a broken vodka bottle in his eye and screws up his eye. And he wasn't fighting. He was trying to break
something
it up.
Yeah.
You just can't be involved in those things. Those things they ruin your career.
And it's a split second, and it's wrong place, wrong time. That's what a lot of those situations are. Yeah. Unfortunately for him, he was literally recording himself plotting all of this, so it didn't really help him out
number one. Yeah. You ever see the movie Black Mass about Whitey Bulger?
Yeah.
And he's talking to his little kid. He's like, you think I'm mad at you because you punched a kid? He's like, no. He's like, next time, do it when nobody's looking. He was a
don't
great.
Get caught.
Yeah, don't get caught.
All right, let's say hello to Hayes Cartline.
Now, the 2-minute drill is driven by nobody but Nimnicht. Nimnicht Chevrolet on Cassett Avenue and Nimnicht Buick GMC on Phillips Highway.
Hello, Hayes.
Hey,
do you have a guy that could call a guy if we're in a situation?
Do you know a guy, Hayes? You know a couple guys.
If any of you ever need help burying a body in the swamp, just call me. I'm your guy. Any out. That's how much I care about you guys. Any out.
Thank you. I'm keeping that in mind.
We love that.
This morning, Victor and Scheffler.
That's great.
What
it was
play
quick.
I know. It was fast.
Hovland, I will say, if he could ever, the talent that he has to have 8 tour wins, he's still in his 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, boy, it feels like that run in majors is coming for him, where he has that 2-3 year run where maybe he goes and wins 3 to 4 majors because he's got the game. I mean, but he's such. Lee Smith has talked to us a lot about Hovland over the years, the executive director of the Players Championship that joins us to talk golf. And Hovland is a tinkerer. He's just never satisfied with his game. And that gets him into trouble because it creates probably more valleys than if he just stayed.
He's like, I'm tinkering this part of my swing, this part of this, and it's always something.
Hopefully, as he matures, whatever form he's found right now, hopefully it can
just stick with
stick because, he's somebody that could easily win a British Open next month. He could absolutely come here in March and win the Players Championship. He should always be a threat he should have a career that's on the level, I'd say. I mean, it's unfair to say Scheffler, but when you look at like the Xanders and the Morikawas and the guys that have won multiple majors, Hovland should be in that group. So, but great win for him today. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Have you ever heard why I love him so much? Because of his music choice.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that?
I did not know.
So I don't remember, this was a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, like this guy, he looks young and fun. He was winning a ton at this time. And if you go to his Instagram, his Spotify was linked there, and he listens to full on, just like, I guess in Norway, like that super deathcore metal is like really popular. I was not expecting that at all. So I go to Spotify and it was just like, and I was like, yes, like, let's go.
That's Taylor's kind of guy right there.
Absolutely. So we'll certainly talk all about that coming up on the Frangie Show. A lot of really, for it being, it wasn't a major, obviously, it was a signature event to Travelers, but a lot of storylines in addition to Hovland and, again, where he might go from here. Scheffler, it's confounding how he's still having a great year. I mean, there's still a lot of players that, would love to have the year Scheffler's having. Yeah. But like Wyndham Clark all of a sudden is found real consistent form. Morikawa had the injury earlier in the year at the Players Championship. He was coming in great form. Is he sort of recapturing that? So
does Ludwig win?
Yeah. And he's somebody that needs to kind of get going.
Yeah.
And so, boy, the sport's just in great shape. So we'll certainly talk about that. We'll get into football as well. We'll give you guys the loser update we sort of know, but JJ actually had to pay off the loser Monday bet from the U.S. Open today because we've been on vacation and things like that. So that may come up as well, and JJ will give us all his brilliant insight about everything going on with the World Cup. So should be fun.
Well, thanks, Hayes. We look forward to it.
All right.
All right, well, that does it for us today of a Big Chief Tire Monday. Stick around for the Frangie Show coming up next for Tom McManus, for RJ Saunders, for Taylor Dahl, for the vacationing Lauren Brooks. We'll catch you guys tomorrow on Helmets and Heels right here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.